Muhammad Shah Rangeela's Last Breath by Sahabi Jinn. The Fading Throne. Muhammad Shah, remembered in history as Rangeela, once ruled the Mughal Empire with grandeur, music, and endless indulgence. But now, the echoes of laughter and dance had vanished. The Red Fort of Delhi, once a jewel of royal splendor, stood heavy with silence. Inside his dimly lit chamber, the dying emperor lay on a velvet bed, surrounded by weary attendants and royal physicians. The air smelled of incense and fear. His eyes, once full of pride and arrogance, now flickered with unease. He knew his body was failing, but more terrifying was the weight on his soul. The glory of wine, women, and music could no longer comfort him. For the first time in his life, Muhammad Shah felt powerless. Death was near, and with it, a judgment he could no longer escape. The golden throne he once boasted of seemed worthless in that hour. Darkness gathered around his room, whispering of an arrival far greater than kings or armies. His last journey had begun, the arrival of the Sahabi Jinn. As midnight deepened, the chamber filled with an unnatural stillness. Suddenly, a presence entered, unseen by ordinary men, but felt with the weight of eternity. From the shadows emerged a towering figure cloaked in light and mist. It was the Sahabi Jinn, a being who had once lived in the time of the Prophet and had carried the memory of divine truth for centuries. His face was hidden, veiled in glowing mist, but his presence was undeniable, mighty, overwhelming, and yet strangely serene. The emperor trembled, his heart pounding against his ribs. He tried to speak, but words caught in his throat. The Sahabi Jinn's voice filled the chamber, deep and echoing. You wasted a life that could have been a trust from God. You lived for pleasure, while neglecting the one who gave you breath. Now, your hour has come. These words pierced the emperor more deeply than any sword ever could. The once proud king, feared by many, now sat trembling before a servant of the unseen world. The weight of regret. Fear overwhelmed Muhammad Shah. His jeweled crown and silken robes felt heavier than chains. He reached for a prayer bead lying near his bed, his shaking fingers fumbling as he whispered God's name. But his tongue felt heavy, as though his sins themselves pressed upon him. His mind replayed the years of indulgence, nights of reckless pleasure, days wasted in idleness. The empire he once commanded seemed like dust, slipping through his hands. The Sahabi Jinn stepped closer, his voice resonating through the chamber. Thrones are but trusts, and those who forget God turn their kingdoms into burdens. Tears welled in the emperor's eyes. For the first time, he understood the emptiness of power without faith. The grand palaces, the endless wealth, the fleeting pleasures, all seemed like shadows in the fading light. The emperor's chest tightened, his breath shallow, as if the very air was rejecting him. His attendants outside whispered nervously, but none dared enter. Inside, it was only the king, the unseen witness, and the heavy silence of judgment. The final breath. The night grew darker, the weight of the unseen pressing heavily on the dying emperor. His head sank deeper into the pillow, sweat glistening on his pale face. Each breath became weaker, drawn with painful effort. The Sahabi Jinn remained silent now, watching with the patience of centuries, as though recording the moment when a king returned to dust. A flickering candle cast long shadows across the chamber walls. Muhammad Shah's eyes darted one last time, as if searching for mercy he had long neglected to seek. In that instant, he realized the futility of crowns and thrones, of power and pleasure. His lips quivered, whispering the name of God, though faint and broken. The final exhale escaped him, a sigh that carried the weight of regret, the fear of judgment, and the end of an empire's illusion. Silence consumed the chamber. Outside, the royal throne sat empty, gathering dust, a symbol of how worldly glory fades. Muhammad Shah Rangeela, once emperor of Hindustan, had taken his final breath. The silence of the throne. The chamber grew colder, though no wind stirred. The flickering flames of the candles bent low, as if bowing before an unseen power. Muhammad Shah lay still, his breath shallow, each one slower than the last. His once proud chest, draped in silks, rose and fell with difficulty. The weight of 1,000 regrets pressed down upon him. The Sahabi Jinn remained at his side, silent now, like a witness to the soul's final trial. His glowing form did not move, yet the emperor felt as though he was being measured. His deeds weighed upon invisible scales. Outside the chamber, ministers and guards waited anxiously. Whispers passed through the palace halls. The emperor is fading. The king is breathing his last. No one dared enter, for they too felt the presence within, something beyond human, something eternal. The emperor's eyes opened one final time. He looked toward the throne that stood empty in the corner, its golden frame glistening under candlelight. For the first time in his life, he saw it for what it truly was, a seat of dust, a crown of illusions. His lips quivered, whispering faintly, "God, forgive me." The silence of the throne answered back, "He fall of the crown." The last breath escaped Muhammad Shah Rangeela's lips, soft and trembling, like a candle burning its final flame. His body fell still, his eyes frozen in a gaze that seemed to look beyond the room, beyond the throne, beyond this world. A heavy silence blanketed the chamber, so deep that even the crackle of the candles seemed muted. The Sahabi Jinn remained unmoved, a silent guardian of truth. For centuries he had witnessed kings rise and fall, and now he stood over another, one who had wasted the trust of power and forgotten the remembrance of God. Without a word, the Jinn turned, his glowing form fading back into the unseen, leaving behind only the weight of his presence. Outside, the hush of waiting attendants broke into murmurs. Ministers rushed forward, guards exchanged uneasy glances, and the royal physicians declared what all already knew. The emperor was gone. In that moment, the golden Mughal throne stood empty, its carvings gleaming in the candlelight but stripped of meaning. The empire, already weakened, now felt leaderless, fragile, and doomed to crumble further. The once great dynasty of emperors had lost yet another jewel to time. History had turned its page. Whispers of a dying empire. News of the emperor's death spread through the palace like a cold wind. Courtiers whispered in disbelief, while servants wept softly in the shadows. The once bustling corridors of the Red Fort echoed with silence, as if the very stones mourned the passing of another ruler. Yet outside, in the city of Delhi, life continued. Traders opened their stalls, beggars filled the streets, and soldiers marched as though nothing had changed. For the common people, emperors came and went. Their hunger and struggles remained the same. But for history, this moment marked more than just the end of a man. It was the fading breath of a dynasty. The Mughal Empire, once a force that shaped nations, was now fractured, weak, and vulnerable. Foreign powers watched closely, waiting to carve away what little remained. In the quiet of that night, the Sahabi Jinn's unseen presence lingered for a moment longer above the fort. He was a witness to God's justice, to the truth that kings, no matter how powerful, return to dust. Then, like a shadow at dawn, he vanished into the unseen realms. All that remained was silence, an empty throne, and the memory of Muhammad Shah Rangeela's last breath. A lesson for generations. Years passed, but the memory of Muhammad Shah Rangeela's final night lingered in the whispers of Delhi storytellers. His reign was remembered not for conquests or wisdom, but for indulgence, carelessness, and a crown that slipped away too easily. The empire that had once stretched wide like the sky was now shrinking, its power bleeding into the hands of strangers. Historians would write his name as the emperor who danced while his kingdom fell apart. Poets spoke of his silks, his music, his love of pleasure, yet always ended their verses with the tragedy of his forgotten throne. To many, he became a warning that wealth without gratitude, power without justice, and life without remembrance of God all end in emptiness. But hidden in those tales was also the memory of the Sahabi Jinn, the mysterious witness who stood at his deathbed. Some said the Jinn came to remind the world that no king, no matter how mighty, escapes the truth. Others believed it was a mercy that in his final breath, Muhammad Shah was given a chance to see what truly mattered. And so his story lived on, not as glory, but as a lesson carved into time.